In today's video journal, I wanted to talk about regret and actually rather letting go of regret. This is something that I keep stumbling upon for the last few days, and the reason I chose this topic is because look at this thing. Look how beautiful it turns out to be. It used to be a lot choppier and not as whimsical and pastel-y, fairy tale looking. I started painting it with acrylics. And acrylic paints, even though they actually vibrant and quick drying and fun to work with, I have totally forgotten how good it is feels to paint with oil paints. There's always that negative mindset that they drying out longer, it's more hassle to work with them, they smell more intensely, you have to use oil to paint with them instead of water, you have to use paint thinner to dilute the paints and clean the brushes, and then after you cleaning the brushes you actually get to maintain them better, which actually brushes hold shape after oil paints a lot better than after acrylic paints, and there's a lot of details to it. However, I really like the smoothness of oil paints and how well they blend together. And you know what? I decided that fine, I'm gonna let it dry for a couple of days before I get to put in another layer on it. But it's so much more satisfying. That's I remembered that this is why I liked painting, because how smooth and how fulfilling it feels to like having those brush strokes going onto canvas and blending them together. The colors go so smoothly, and how such a variety of blendings you can make and mixtures and styles, and with different brushes you can make them sharp looking, you can make them faded, you can actually make really nice shadows and gradients. So when I started working on this, that guy, when I started working on this thing, I remembered how satisfying it is. So I'm gonna continue on it today. Now, what I'm talking about regrets. I regretted that I didn't pick up oil paints sooner, because when I decided that I gonna pick up on paintings again, I started with acrylics because it's quicker, it's faster, it's easier accessible, it's a little bit cheaper, and of course quality acrylics still gonna cost quite a bit. Nevertheless, I find them still more graphic, more cartoony, maybe that's not the right word, but that's how I feel about it. And that feeling of kind of having mild regret, even though I'm not letting it in to myself, I feel like for the last week or so, maybe couple weeks, I've been on a really interesting journey of rediscovering my inner self that absolutely adoring and loving. And when I look inside the universe of myself, I just love it so much, and I hope I find a way to express it to everybody, that they can see themselves the way I see myself inside, and everybody can do it. I feel like I gonna take some steps to discovering how I can share this, because right now I'm stumbling upon people who also experiencing regrets, and they're beating up on themselves for not doing certain things earlier, for putting up with certain things for too long, for just blaming themselves for certain things, and there's no forgiveness. There's just a perpetual loop of regret and self-blame and uh, anger with self. And right now I did that too. I was that angry person with myself as well. I would get pissed off with myself. Oh, I did it again. I had an extra glass of wine and I freaked out at one moment, and then I feel bad about it. Now I have to apologize and I have to fix things. So all of that was like, I would reflect onto myself later and I felt that regretting thing. So this was my trigger. I felt regret that I didn't use the oil paints earlier or sooner. Now, the only thing I realize I can do, just I experience the feeling of regret. I allow it to be, that feeling exists. But I'm not letting it define me, because there's so much more inside of me that I get actually work with. So I am going to just continue working on something that really delivers me joy, and fun, and I'm just thriving and blossoming as I'm working this process, even if nothing else happening around me. Just the process of painting this thing, I'm so happy about it. Every time I walk in my room and looking it dry, I'm like, I love you. Now I actually wonder if it looks any different from what it used to be. But I wanted to do a good job on this one, so that's something I get to practice with a little bit more. I haven't practiced oil paints in a long time, so this is my new beginning. Now, another thing I've realized that I've regretted that I haven't practiced with painting more. I know the theory and I know the structure of educating yourself in the painting, and I went to art classes, but I haven't put in enough practice to be spectacular painter. This is an ongoing process, so there's a regret about that I experience. However, I've also realized that instead of letting it instead of letting it upset me and drive me in a negative direction, I decided to allow it to drive me towards desire to become better. And not becoming better comparing myself to other artists who are actually a lot greater than I am, but comparing myself to my yesterday self, to my last year self, to my 3 years ago self, and all of those are different people. Every day I wake up and I realize that I'm different. Every day is like a new birthday, and every day I realize I get to choose what is my biggest value, and I can't regret what happened yesterday because that would become useless. speaking on the point of regretting things, how about starting to let go? Regret could be taken as a reflection onto, okay, this has happened, it sucked. I didn't want to be in that situation, but it happened. And our subconscious mind will still deliver us something that we have to work through until we learn the lesson. So the lesson has been there. As long as we are aware of that situation being present, we get to find the strength within ourselves to convert the feeling of regret into triggering point from which you can push yourself forward and start going in the direction that is in the forefront of your mind. This is how I'm seeing this at the moment, because I feel like right now, as I'm going through some type of internal cleansing, which is curious because it happens naturally, it happens intuitively, and choosing this topic of regretting things or regretting things that have been done in the past that could have impacted my life better today, but since it's already didn't happen, or maybe it did happen in some different parallel reality, right now all I can do with this feeling of regret is to convert it into something that benefits me more. And yes, it's going to be a slow run. It's going to take a lot of things to work on. It's going to probably be a lot of mistakes made, and so on and so forth. I'm just also seeing with me allowing myself to let go of regretting habitual thinking patterns. I'm seeing more of my surroundings and people who I love and people who I used to be friends with and I'm still friends with, or people on social media, even though I don't follow as much of social media. Once I open Facebook, you can see something, somebody says something. So there's a lot of regret attached to the past. Barely anybody regrets the current moment. I guess, I don't know if it's possible. Do you think it's possible to regret the now? Like right now, I'm in the present moment, and I don't regret. Yeah, I don't think it's possible to regret the presence and the future. So it's only attached to the past thinking. So as long as we capable, maybe letting go of our past selves, our stagnant identity that we are assigned to ourselves for whatever reason, patterning, programming, childhood traumas, bad choice making, habits. But none of this defines yourself. We come here for a life experience to enjoy life, and whichever way we enjoy life in the moment, there is only one moment anyways. So I guess my point is, why are we stressing ourselves out? Might as well just enjoy. And let's say if I identified the feeling of regret, I get to enjoy that feeling of regret for a moment, yet now I am also choosing to convert this feeling of regret, that in this moment right now I'm choosing to do something different about it. So it's going to be my aim forward, the new line, new starting point. So to all those people that I've talked to recently who do regret something from their past that they feel they could have done better, or maybe want to go in the past and change it, I wish everybody to find the present moment and allow themselves to be aware that past already passed, so be it. Start the better you right now. Might as well, right? So I'm just gonna keep painting.